Welcome to episode 2 of JUCO Jam. With me, as always, is the great one, the JUCO advocate himself, Brandon Goebel. Brandon, it's great to be here with you.
Hey, buddy.
Let's jump right into the rewind, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. On Tuesday, we had Indian Hills 109 at McCook 100. This was the official beginning of the Josh Sash era. Big win. Kenai Briggs had 27, David Hermes 16, Travion LeBeau 15 points, 10 rebounds, including a big 6 offensive rebounds. That guy was born to board. For McCook, Trey Summers with 20, Louis Tucker with 15, Ty Foster with 19. Two pretty good teams going at it. You were there in person. What did you see firsthand?
Boy, that was a super fun game. The environment at McCook is great. That facility is awesome. It's actually a pretty solid JUCO town. But it was great to really see Josh, just come out and have that team playing the way that he's going to want to play all year. They're playing right now. Now, obviously, defensively, I think both coaches would say that their guys didn't do what they wanted them to do, but offensively, like, guys were playing hard. There were a few tees thrown around out there. There was there was a lot of diving for balls, and there was some John, and it was just like it was a super fun game. Travion LeBeau is a human pogo stick that's going to be able to rebound like that at the next level. I mean, it's like, it was like Isaac Michela was able to do, smaller even than Trevion, but like just able to get to the ball and get things done. And then McCook, they've had some ups and down games so far this year, but they're going to be very good. They are loaded with shooting. Trey Summers and Louis Tucker. Louis might be one of the best shooters in the entire country, and he's like 6'5". And then, of course, they got the number one player in the country, arguably up and down, that is going to be actually making his college commitment today, Monday. But got to see him play. Him and David Hermes are friends. Them going at it was super cool to watch, because I could see them chirping at each other and knowing they were getting in each other's ears. So it was just a great game. It was one of those, when you're in person, you're like, man, I'm glad I did this.
It's awesome. On Thursday, Monroe entered their tour of Region 24. They lost at the Dungeon in Olney, 77-73. Olney was up big, 42-24. 5 Knights scored in double figures. Monroe was led by Albert Vargas with 20, Jawari Hamilton with 19. Solid effort for Olney. Really tough place, to play for Monroe. That leads us into Friday. We had this amazing East-West shootout at Collin. Amazing games. Panola 70, Howard 61. Our good friend Yafet Mundi 13-7 for the Ponies. That leads us South Plains 83, Lee 71. Two heavyweight teams. South Plains was led by Jamari Hill with 19, Kerwin Prince with 18, Jalen Hampton with 16. Just awesome action.
Yeah, I mean, those are two heavyweights going at it. Lee is as advertised. They didn't get the win here tonight, but they're going to get a lot of wins this year. South Plains, top 3 team in the country. Can make an argument for them being anywhere kind of in that mix right now. We're going to talk to Coach Hayden Sowers later about his guys, but he has got a lot of firepower. And, defensively, they're still kind of trying to figure things out and find themselves, but just top to bottom, absolutely loaded. And Lee may have lost the game by 12, but it just didn't feel like a 12-point loss. It felt like at any moment that kind of could have turned.
Yeah, two good teams. Hopefully we'll see both at Hutch. Also on Friday, we had Monroe 64, Logan 56. Monroe was up huge early, 38-16. Logan chipped away. I think Logan may have, found themselves at kind of halftime of that game. I think they'll probably be on the uptrend from here. A great nightcap. We had Moberly 80, Southeastern 71. Moberly was down 14 points in the second half. Takeo Carpenter said, "Not tonight, my friends." 21 points. Javaris Moye had 2 huge threes in the second half. Southeastern was led by Jacob Franklin with 15 points. It was just really weird to see Southeastern wearing white jerseys in Ottumwa. I'm just going to leave it at that. I felt it was awkward. It didn't seem right all night. We had a great day of action Saturday. The Texas East-West deal continues. Mighty Odessa 80, Panola 69.
How about Odessa putting up 80 points again? Odessa putting up 80 points again. I don't know if Coach Bucket read some books this summer or what. He found inspiration from somewhere, but he's like, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna just go score a bunch of points this year. How about that? That seems fun.
He's got the guys to do it. whether it's Daryl Houston or our good friend Brandon Macklin. I like Willie Lightfoot off the bench, good 3-point shooter. There's something about a lefty shooting the ball that just looks pretty. A game that I really enjoyed, Trinity Valley 81 versus Clarendon 79. Trinity Valley, was at Hutch last year. They returned Makai Dorsey. He had 22 points, point guard. Looked very impressive. Ahmad Bynum with 25 points. And then I really liked Alou Cisse. He had 12 points, but made some really huge steals down the stretch. That was a great game. Um, Monroe, as they toured through Region 24, they played Vincennes. Vincennes 84-66. LeBron Thomas almost had a triple double on one leg. 20 points, seven rebounds, 9 assists. Kyrie Dixon, 18 and 12. Big man Kyrie Dixon now shooting threes. I think he hit 4 out of 5 over the weekend. And then the granddaddy of them all, Saturday night, Moberly versus Indian Hills. This is what we're all here for. Indian Hills wins 75-72 as Braden Spark hits the game winner, 3 at the buzzer. David Hermes had 16 points. Takeo Carpenter, 22. I think really the big difference in the game, Indian Hills out rebounded 49-30 because guys like Tavion LeBeau can just go get the basketball.
Yep. And they can kind of all over the floor get rebounding, right, from multiple positions. Chris Mpaka has started to kind of integrate himself into that team. The transfer from Frank Phillips had, I think, 9 rebounds in that game. Has gotten better as the season has gone on, short time period here. But you know what you can always count on? A buzzer beater, crazy pants game at Indian Hills very early in the season. It appears it does not matter who the head coach is there, because as
Hank
Coach
passed
Hank
down the formula.
Hank said, "Hey, you know what you got to do to get the people all excited? Almost lose and then don't." Early on. There's been some classics there in Ottumwa under Coach Polona, and it appears that Coach Sash is going to carry that mantle going forward.
That concludes the rewind. Now let's take a look at this week's games in the rundown. And we're going to end with Indian Hills in the rewind. We're going to go right to them in the rundown because they have a crazy schedule this week. We'll just lump it all together. Tuesday, they play at Northwest Florida, national runner up last year. Then on Thursday night, they go to Coastal Alabama North, who was 23-8 last year. And then they conclude by traveling to Vincennes, who was in the Elite Eight last year. So once again, crazy week for Indian Hills, and going to be 3 great games for junior college basketball fans.
Yeah, and I think if there's a team that's built to be able to do this, it's probably in Indian Hills. They are deep. There's some players that played a lot early on against McCook, and then didn't hardly play in the last game. And it wasn't because they did anything wrong. It's just that they're a very deep team. So if you're going to go on the road like this, if you're going to face some of the best teams in the country, you better be able to go more than 7 or 8 players deep, and Indian Hills can do that.
Yeah, some of the other top games we're looking at this week: Wednesday, Coffeyville at Ineo. That's a rematch game. Midland at Blinn. Midland played 5 games really early and quick in the season. Didn't play over the weekend. Come back at Blinn. Would love to get your thoughts on this game here. Eastern Florida versus Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Down in Fort Myers. I think that's going to be a really interesting and fun game. Really skilled players.
And it's going to be, a little bit of a test of 2 different styles, right? Kyle Taylor's going to run the floor. He's going to try and, win this game by 30. Eastern Florida, like we talked about with Coach Schulman last week, very international, very half court based. They can get up and down, but like they're going to try and pick you apart. And so it's going to be interesting watching these 2 teams kind of clash. And I love the fact that this game is at a neutral site. While obviously both places are awesome to have games at, like I kind of love the fact that it's neutral. I mean, it is neutral for Eastern. Florida Southwestern's a long ways away. So it gives this sense of almost like a tournament game, right? It's almost a bit like a Hutch game where you got these 2 powerhouse teams going against each other, 2 different styles, 2 teams that don't see each other very often. And so, this should be a good one.
A lot of 6'8", 6'9", 6'10" skilled basketball players in that game. I'm really excited about that. Thursday night, we have Mineral Area at Logan, while we also have CSI at Odessa.
Big opportunity for CSI to make a statement there.
Yeah,
I know.
CSI needs this. Hopefully, they're getting a little
Yep.
bit healthier. Hopefully, Jordan Hamilton's able to play a few more minutes. But Odessa, I mean, this could be the year. It could be the year.
It could be the year. And hey, you know what? Odessa is probably not going to try and win this game 45-40. Coach Bucket's going to come out there and he's going to try and run that.
Not only does he prevent buckets, he now scores them.
He now also scores them, which is fun.
And then CSI, they got a tough deal here on Friday at Midland.
At Odessa, at Midland,
yeah, that's tough. Odessa, Midland, back-to-back nights. I mean, that's what junior college basketball is all about. That's why we do JUCO Jam. That's what we're here for.
Yep. The kids are probably going to deserve some chilies after that, regardless of what happens.
Let's get everybody some crispers. Let's bring the people together.
Bring the people together. It's fine.
What we need. Maybe both teams will have dinner together. Also on Friday, Salt Lake at Florida Southwest.
Yeah. Yep. Coach Murphy and Coach Kyle Taylor going after it there. Not a neutral site game for Coach Kyle Taylor now. So hey, but you know what? And this goes for Coach Sash and anybody else that's making these trips. Coach Reinert going down and playing in West Texas. Kyle Taylor going down to Florida. Good on you, right? I understand some teams have more budget than others and are able to travel more or whatever. But if you have the ability, this is better for the game. It's better for the league. It's better for your players. Those teams that go and make these trips, they don't always come out of them unscathed. And I think I think we're doing a better job of recognizing that, you can take a loss and still be considered very, very good and better than maybe a team that just chooses for whatever reason not to play anybody, but has a bunch of wins. Right. So I think these teams are really kind of starting to figure that out and are doing a very, very good job of kind of managing that schedule that way.
Yeah, we'll kind of power through the rest of the schedule. This week we have Weatherford at Odessa. Weatherford has been drumming people this year, so that'll be really interesting to see how they do. Then on Saturday, Midland at Weatherford, Olney Central versus Triton, two teams that might be breaking into the top 25. Northeast Mississippi at Mineral Area, once again, two teams who might be breaking into the top 25.
And great job by Cordwright going up and playing that tough road game like that. That's, Mississippi has kind of their lengthy schedule and stuff, and it's tough sometimes for those teams to get out of there. That's a great job by him scheduling that game.
Really excited to see how that one turns out. And then Indian Hills, at Vincennes, as we touched on earlier, obviously going to be a big game for both programs. And then Vincennes will travel to Ottumwa later in December. That concludes the rundown. When we return, we're going to be fortunate enough to have Coach Hayden Sowers from South Plains. Stick around.
As the second largest intercollegiate athletic association in the country, the NJCAA serves not only a pivotal role in college athletics, but in higher education. The NJCAA Foundation aims to move the association forward through resources, grant programs, and other special initiatives. Your gift to the NJCAA Foundation will make a difference and create opportunities.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
Welcome back to the Spotlight. Today we are greatly excited to be joined by head coach Hayden Sowers of South Plains, now in his second year. Coach Sowers, thanks so much for joining us here on JUCO Jam.
No doubt, man. Thanks for having me on. My only question is, what took so long, man?
I know you're our first Texas participant in the JUCO Jam Spotlight. Okay. So
you had that ready for me, didn't you?
You are representing all of West Texas today.
Yeah. Don't mess up.
Yeah.
So one of the things I noticed about your roster this season is you have a lot of really marquee transfers on your roster. But one thing that I like is that you took other junior college kids who are used to, what happens in junior college, whether it's Jamari Hill or Jabari McGee. Talk a little bit about kind of your thought process behind putting the roster together the way you did this year.
you know, short answer, I kind of wanted to go out and try to get the best players I could get, and find and figure it out from there. The JUCO transfers though have been tremendous, and one thing about those guys that is different from a lot of the Division I transfers is they've played a full season in JUCO, and like you said, they understand what it's like. They understand the bus rides, the late nights, the back-to-backs, all that kind of stuff. Those two dudes have been absolutely tremendous. Both have exceeded my expectations. Dynamic, quick, athletic guards, and they've kind of led us in that backcourt to where we're at right now.
One thing about South Plains, obviously being in West Texas, you play a rugged schedule, right? Howard, Odessa, Midland, Clarendon, New Mexico, right? Great competition, night in, night out. But South Plains historically has not shied away from playing the tough games. Already this season, you've played Tonkawa, you've played Lee. Coming up, lingering, we have tropical Ottumwa, Iowa. You're going to Indian Hills, playing the Warriors on December 1st. Talk a little bit about putting together the non-conference schedule.
Well, I'm gonna say this from the jump: Tonka wasn't supposed to be that good, and they are good. Coach is doing a tremendous job. I think his name is Javante Campbell. Is that right? He could play anywhere in the country. Little guard, and they got a big kid down low, and they got some other pieces around him. So he's doing a tremendous job, and they were really good. They were really good. They belong in the top 25 in my opinion today when the polls come out. But last year I learned once we got in league play, non-conference. My main thought process for non-conference was prepare us for the conference schedule. We got 16 wars in the WACJAC, and going to Indian Hills is great preparation for playing in a road game against a really good team in a tough environment where everybody outside of the people that are sitting on your bench and wearing South Plains stuff is against you. So why not go do it? I think it's great for junior college basketball, great for the kids. Great for both programs, and we're going to go up there and try to give it our best shot. Josh is doing a great job, and it'll be a fun night of basketball.
One of the interesting things about your situation is that you were the coach after kind of the legend, right? Steve Green, all the national titles. If there was a Mount Rushmore of junior college coaches, his face would be on it. What was it like kind of getting to learn a little bit from him and then being the guy after kind of the Phil Jackson of JUCO?
Yeah, well, first the year that I worked for him, I mean, Brandon knows this, and this. The job he did with that team was unbelievable. To get that team to however far we made it in Hutch. When I got here in July, we really didn't have a roster, and he stuck with it and worked and worked and worked. And we'd be on here for 3 days if I talked about what I learned from him in those 8-9 months that I worked for him. Tremendous human being and tremendous coach. Now follow that with, everybody asks me what's it like to follow him, and I say it's not really that hard because it's easy to recruit to this place because of what he did. You know what I mean? Like that's the way I look at it. He built this place by himself into a national, along with the players, I would say, into a national powerhouse. And he deserves him and the players deserve all the credit. We're just trying to not build anything. It's already built. We got a standard we got to live up to here, and they expect us to do and win at the level that Steve did, and we're working every day to do that. But following him, I just try to show up every day and do the best job that I can. That's all we can do. I got 3 great assistants and 14 guys that show up at practice every day ready to fight. And that's all you can ask for.
You guys are right in the mix, right? For being in the national championship this year. You're a top 5 team. You'll be 1, 2, or 3 when the poll comes out today, whatever it is. What are the 1, 2 things that you're looking really at to get from where you're at today to where you want to be at, come March? What are the things that you're looking for the most from your team to improve upon?
We got to defensively, we got to get better. I mean, we've shown in spurts that we can do it, but we have to be consistent, throughout 40 minutes. The other night in the second half against Navarro, we gave up almost 60 points. You can't win guarding like that. offensively, it's my opinion that we're going to figure it out. Offensively, we got firepower at each position and coming off our bench. But we got to start guarding. We got to lock in on what we're doing defensively, and we got to treat every possession importantly. We can't let our foot off the gas. We can't relax. We have to start focusing on the defensive end more than the offensive end, in my opinion. But it's November, it's a long season. It's good to have stuff to work on. You don't want to peak in December and early January. It's a gradual climb of a mountain. I'm excited that we have stuff to work on. Today at 1:30, we're going to get down there and continue to work on it. But offensively, I like where we're at. I like our ability to score from all 5 positions and guys coming off the bench as well. I think Glenn Mayo texted me this morning. We've played 5 games. I think we've had at least either 4 or 5 leading scorers, which is really good. It can come from different spots and different nights. I think we're hard to scout because we don't really call a bunch of plays. I like to let them play. They got to be able to dribble, pass, and shoot and play unselfish. But to answer your question, we got to start guarding the ball better and focusing on the defensive end as much as we focus on the offensive end.
How important has Kerwin Prince's ability to step in and play some 5, kind of an undersized 5 guy, but you can win a lot with undersized 5s at the JUCO level?
I mean, I called him in before the season and we met, and he's one of the more important pieces on our team because he can play multiple positions. He's tough. He's physical. He plays hard. I mean, that league game, he put us on it. Malik was in foul trouble, and he went in there and we didn't miss a beat. He scored 16 points in the second half. He kind of neutralized the big kid that Lee had, who's a good player going to UTEP, and he helped us win the game. And a lot of places don't have that coming off the bench. A lot of places in junior college, we all know, don't have players that would accept coming off the bench for his caliber, but he has, and that's a credit to him. Right when we got, I was on the phone with the Division I coach right before we started about him, and he's going. If he keeps playing like he is, he'll earn a really good spot, and I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he showed a little bit of success, showed what he can do, and helped us win the game.
Now, Coach, I feel like I've got you warmed up. I've asked you some easy questions. Now I'm gonna pass the baton over to the heavy hitter. BG, okay. What do you got?
So this is the most important question of the whole thing. This is the one that really ties it all together. So I need you to imagine, if you will, you're on the road. I don't know, one of the glorious cities that you spend the winter in playing basketball, and you got a big win, and you've left, and you're on the team bus, and you say, gosh dang it, you know what, these guys have earned this. You tell the bus driver to pull into that parking lot, and when you do, the green and the red of the glow of the sign is across the parking lot, and you've pulled into Chili's. What are you eating at Chili's for your victory meal?
I'm going chicken crispers and then get some skillet queso. But I got to say this. I've been the head coach here for a year and 5 games. We've taken the team to Chili's one time, and you'll never guess what we did the next day.
Oh, no.
We got beat, so we're never going back now. I'm a creature of habit, so I hate to say that on the show where I know you guys love Chili's, but we're not going back. We're going to choose another establishment from here on out.
Sometimes you got to face it head on. You got to reverse the curse, man. You get some blackberries.
We'll try just for the show and just for you guys. We'll try to get
for the
there.
For the people out there listening at Chili's, we got to hook Coach Sowers up. We got to reverse the curse. Let's get the man some honey chipotle chicken crispers. Get him some skillet queso. Let's take care of it.
I actually ate there yesterday, so I liked in Dallas before I left. I like Chili's. I like the vibe. I like the food. I like everything.
You just got to get some wins to go with it, right?
Except for the fact that their record for helping the Texans is 0-1, so they need to be.
Junior college is all about overcoming adversity, and this might be one of the bigger tests of your career, honestly, when you look back on it someday and that you were able to reverse the curse at Chili's. But I believe in you. I believe it can happen.
I'll tell you this. If you can get the Chili's in Plano, Texas to open on Thanksgiving night, we might have to go there because we're struggling to find somewhere to eat on Thanksgiving night in Dallas.
Making calls. As soon as we get off, we're making calls
to get them to open up for the Texans.
Sounds good. I think we can handle that.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, appreciate you coming on. Good seeing you as always, and we'll be catching up with you soon.
Appreciate you guys, man. Have a good one.
You too. All right, that's Coach Hayden Sowers from South Plains. Next up, we get into the grind.
Welcome back to JUCO Jam. We are now entering the grind where we feature one of the top players in junior college basketball. Today, we're going to talk about Javante Campbell from Northern Oklahoma, Tonkawa, 6'2", 155 pounds. He's a sophomore from Muskogee, Oklahoma, and he has been absolutely getting buckets.
All
BG,
the
what do you see
buckets.
with all the buckets?
He's got like those 10-gallon buckets from Home Depot, and he's just stacking them like crazy. It's just he's building a fort in the living room with all the buckets. That a lot of times early on, you'll see like kind of some of these eye-popping numbers from guys. They have a few good games. A lot of times they're on teams that aren't very good. But as you just heard from Coach Hayden Sowers, Tonkawa is worthy of being a top 25 team. And this also is not just like a complete aberration for Javante Campbell. He was very good last year too. Really scored the ball last year. And of
He
course,
just didn't score all the buckets.
just didn't score all the buckets, but he said, you know what? Give me the rest of those buckets. I'm going to score all of them this year. I mean, it's been wild.
And he's also getting 6 boards per game.
Yeah. I mean, he's trying to do everything he can to help his team win. I think he is a better shooter than kind of what his percentage is right now. By the end of the season, I expect that to be north of 30, but I mean, he's just finding all the different ways to score. And sometimes you have those guys that just go get a bunch of points, but your team loses, or, it's not actually helping you win. That's not the case with him. Like they're playing powerhouse teams, just a heartbreaking close loss against South Plains. Had a tough game against Barton, but gets the big win against Hutch. He scores under his season average of 30 by having 26 a couple nights ago.
Held him in check.
Yeah, they really shut him down that game. So
I had to go back. I had to go back and check. I thought it was really interesting. Not every region does this, but in Oklahoma they do a preseason coaches poll, right? And Tonkawa was 4th.
Yeah.
Apparently, they didn't get the memo that Javante was going to go 30-6.
That he gets all the buckets. They didn't know that.
All the buckets. So I mean, right now they certainly appear to be the team to beat. The Mavericks are more than just Javante Campbell. They got a really nice team around him. And I would say right now, if we had to, put our Swami hat on and make prognostications, we would probably imagine that Tonka would be the team to beat in the great state of Oklahoma.
Yep. And, I think there's no reason to think that, anything that what he's doing right now is really going to change drastically, right? I mean, guys have ups and downs, and, they hit cold spots during the season or whatever, but he's just like such a dynamic, aggressive player that I think he's going to, it's just almost impossible to.
He's done it against Barton, South Plains, and Midland, probably 3 top 10 teams. Like the competition's probably not going to get harder from here.
And some of the toughest defenses out there too,
absolutely
to go to Midland or go against Midland and score 37.
Yeah.
Nobody does that against a Trey Arnold team. So yeah, pretty special player.
So now we're going to transition to the show. This is where we feature a former junior college player who's gone on to do great things. I know this is a young man that you know pretty well, Brandon, Keon Ellis, Florida Southwestern with Coach Murphy, went to Alabama, now in the Sacramento Kings, cracked the starting lineup for the Kings the other night. Talk to us a little bit about Keon.
Yeah, just awesome kid. Texted with him a little bit last week before the start, actually, and it's just another cool thing for junior college. I mean, it's obviously awesome for him and awesome for his family and everybody that has coached him and everything, but these are the kinds of stories that really make junior college special. I sent a message to him and I said something along the lines of like, dude, you just started in the NBA against the Portland Trailblazers tonight. Like, and 5 years ago, like you were getting ready to go play, or 6 years, whatever it was, you were getting ready to go play your first junior college game. Like, that's awesome. Like, how cool is that? So it's always so much fun to see these stories, and especially for a kid like Keon. He had a great college career. But I'll tell you, like, even as good as Keon Ellis was, like, there was still a lot of people that just said, well, he's just athletic, and, I don't know if that's gonna, doesn't shoot. Is that going to translate, whatever? And Keon says, watch this. Right. So, just a great
Sacramento
story.
lists him at 6'3". I've seen him listed at various heights throughout his career.
It changes.
So you don't have to be 6'6" or 6'8"
No.
necessarily to be a wing in the NBA, right? I mean, and I think it's okay to go to junior college. You don't have to go to one of the top 25 NCAA Division I programs. He went to a place, he developed his skill set, then he goes to a 4-year school and developed that skill set even further, which gave him a chance to have that professional career the way that he does. So it's great to kind of spotlight some of these kids who went the junior college path and are seeing success today at the highest level.
Absolutely.
All right, that concludes the show. When we come back, we're going to have our closing thoughts. Stay with us for the Sixth Man.
As the second largest intercollegiate athletic association in the country, the NJCAA serves not only a pivotal role in college athletics, but in higher education. The NJCAA Foundation aims to move the association forward through resources, grant programs, and other special initiatives. Your gift to the NJCAA Foundation will make a difference and create opportunities.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
Welcome back to JUCO Jam. This is our closing segment. We call it the Sixth Man. Brandon, what do you have for us today?
So cool story in junior college. And, those of you that know me, I'm always looking for random, just cool stuff, right? The stories in junior college. And one of those happens to be playing basketball at Eastern Arizona. If you follow JUCO recruiting, you see that he's starting to get some high major offers, things like that. But kid named Anton Bonke, and I confirmed with him in person how the pronunciation of that is, because I believe his family is Dutch. And if I'm wrong, don't yell at me, Anton. But from a very, very small island in the South Pacific called Vanuatu. And when he goes and plays Division I basketball next year, which he will, as a qualifier, he'll be the first, as far as our records show, the first player to play Division I basketball from Vanuatu. He also happens to be 7'2", and he also happened to have never played basketball before he showed up at Eastern Arizona. He was a rower, and somebody probably finally grabbed him and said, "Hey, big boy, you don't fit in the boat anymore. So you either are going to be the boat or you need to find something else to do." And he wound up in sunny Thatcher, Arizona, and redshirted for a semester. He came because in school down there ends mid-year. It's different timing than ours. So he came halfway through, and the first time he touched a basketball in a game, in a live against another team situation, was at a jamboree. I think it was the Dallas one. And he wins the tip, obviously. And he just sprints down to the other end. They chuck it to him and he dunks and runs the other way. And I was like, well, that's the start of that. Going to see a lot of that over the years. Yeah. This kid's pretty easy. That hoop's really short, guys. So anyway, super cool story, just where he's from. And he is an amazing, amazing kid. I spent some time with him at our event in Denver, just chatting him up a little bit. And I was really excited to watch him play this year.
Big Gila. I love it. All right, for my Sixth Man, I'm gonna dig into the JUCO Jam fan mail inbox, and I'm gonna ask you a question that was asked to me that they wanted me to ask you.
Oh boy.
So, Brandon, in all of your time of watching junior college basketball, who is the best junior college basketball player you've ever seen? And this specifically pertains to not who had the best career in NCAA or in the NBA. Who is the best junior college basketball player you've ever seen?
So, I've been around a while now. I've not been around as long as some, but there is one player that the first time I saw him in person, I turned to everybody around me and whoever would listen, and I said, that guy's going to play in the NBA. And it was early in the season too. I said, he's going to play in the NBA. That's the best dang player I've ever seen. And that was Chris Duarte, which Chris obviously ended up going on being a lottery pick. And I know that seems like an easy one because he's the highest drafted junior college player in some time. But I mean, it was no joke that you just watched him and you went, well, he's playing a different game than everybody else. Like, they're playing basketball and I don't know what he's playing. He's playing Duarte ball. And we've talked about Chris on the show in the past, like another like really cool story, overcame a lot to get where he's at, playing on the Kings with Keon Ellis, by the way.
Maybe the Kings can sponsor the JUCO Jam.
I've been fortunate enough to get to know Mike Brown a little bit, and I'm constantly teasing him to give the JUCO guys more minutes. He's had good success so far with the JUCO guys that he's had. So, but yeah, Chris Duarte was just on another level, as far as what he could do in the junior college space. And so, always will enjoy watching him play, and thinking back to that first time that I saw him in Ottumwa, sitting right there on press row, with this dude just going out there going bonkers, and I went, oh my gosh, this is something.
There you go, people. If you have questions, send me a message on Twitter at the Nielsen File, and I'll see if I can ask Brandon live on the show. I'm not giving him any heads up whatsoever. That concludes the Sixth Man. We've wrapped up Season 2, Episode 2. We will be back in 2 weeks. Everybody, enjoy the great games. Have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll see you real soon. Take care.